Hi guys, and welcome back to 20 Questions With, and today's guest is a professional racing driver, multiple champion, and also former factory driver. So please welcome Chris Dymond. Hi Chris, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Enjoying the lovely British summertime?
August was fantastic, and September looks like it's going the same way, eh?
Fingers crossed. Bit of sunshine maybe, just to finish it off for the year. Mainly so it's dry tracks more than anything.
So I'm at Alton Park tomorrow with a customer for the first time ever who's been there. So yeah, dry is needed.
My fingers are crossed for you.
Cheers.
So we'll get started with the quick fire questions. Are you nervous? Are you okay?
No, I'm good.
Perfect. Right, so let's get going. So what is your favourite car?
Jaguar D-Type.
Favourite track?
Cadwell Park.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
3-course meal?
Tomato, mozzarella, spaghetti bolognese, and creme brulee.
And your most inspirational driver?
Jackie X.
If you weren't to do motorsport, what other sport would you do?
Probably triathlon or rowing.
And are you a morning or evening person?
Definitely a morning person.
And your go-to hobby apart from motorsport?
Skiing. Same rush, same everything, mega.
And what is the scariest thing you've ever done?
Cliff jumping.
Oh God, that does sound scary.
Yeah, that took a mind over matter situation, that was.
And if you were to describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
Oh, cocky, probably.
I think that's genuinely the quickest I've ever had the quick fire round go through. So technically you're a winner.
Yes.
I'll send like a little certificate in the post.
It will be framed.
So there we go. That's all done and dusted. So we're halfway through technically.
Flying
through. So we'll get into a bit more of the in-depth questions about your history in motorsport, what you're up to, where you want to be, those sort of things. So first off, how did you actually get into motorsport?
So I wasn't born into a football family or anything like that. We grew up about 10 minutes from Silverstone. I could see the grandstand from my bedroom window at Stowe.
Wow.
And it just so happened to be that I also was born on Grand Prix weekend. So every weekend in the middle of July was red arrows flying over the house, loads of helicopters, and you can hear the circuit. At one point I must have gone, what's that? And that was my parents' first mistake. And several years later I was plonked into a go-kart and it went from there. And
just developed and snowballed.
Yeah, pretty much. We went through starting off at the little kids club at Silverstone in the hangar, which is now the museum-y centre. Yeah. And then did some club karting, was pretty good. National karting, did all right. And then European, and then the same in cars.
Oh, wow. So you really did start right in the middle of it all at Silverstone.
Yes, it was just perfectly the right place. And my dad raced hovercraft as well. So that was the kind of a bit of a different way, but he stopped as I was born. So I've got only a few memories of that. But yeah, racing was in the blood, as they say.
That's fantastic. And obviously throughout your years in motorsport, have you experienced any barriers throughout the years, and have you overcome them, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, as most people do, I wasn't born into a particularly mega wealthy family. We were okay, and we could afford to go karting, but not maybe at the level we were. So as with so many drivers, the fiscal element is the hardest. And we were very fortunate that I can speak quite well to people and get on, well with people. And we got a few true commercial sponsors rather than any family friends or anything like that. And that took us so far. And thankfully, it was enough to get into a position where I was being offered drives for free to start with, and then the paycheck started flowing the right way, and very thankful to make a career from it. So it's not impossible, but it's difficult, and you just got to be head down and don't take no for an answer, really.
Persistent.
Yeah.
Very persistent. And obviously you do a lot of precision driving and coaching now. And do you think doing that on the side of your racing has actually developed your racing in a way?
It gives me an opportunity to do a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily do on a circuit. So a lot of big skids and things like that, driving Rolls-Royces through concrete walls and things. I'd say the flow is probably more the other way. The racing side and the confidence in my ability to do things goes into that. But I get to drive a huge variety of cars on a daily basis, which is never a bad thing. So, you know, keep sharp and race fit, as they say. But I'd say the flow's more the other way than the way you said.
Definitely. And you can't really complain about driving lots of different cars for a living, can you?
Hell no.
It's everyone's dream.
Exactly, and long may it continue.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I'm aspiring to it. So maybe one day.
Who knows?
And you've won and raced many different champions and races, and including GT World Series, the Clio Cup, the Radical UK Cup. How do you think they have differed, the different series, apart from obviously the car? And which one was actually your favourite?
They're all very different. So, you know, the little front wheel drive stuff is totally different to a big banger GT car. The GT stuff is what I've always wanted to do and what I still, you know, like to focus on. The radicals and the prototypes are really, really impressive bits of kit. So in terms of pure performance, those are the absolute balls out. Those things you take your brain out and go. It's quite different to everything else. But there's something to be said for, you know, I don't get to do it too much anymore, but hopping into a little you know, split and Kleenex wrong wheel drive car and just grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and throwing it around a circuit, it brings something out of me. It's, you know, it's where I cut my teeth, it's where I started. So I think there's something deep down that I do enjoy that. Yeah. And then the GT side of things is very, you know, they're really creeping up on the downforce levels, and obviously they've got big power as well. So there's a very different driving style there. In terms of the race meetings they're at, the Blank Pan as it was then, was the most impressive sort of GT racing at the time. Now sort of WEC and ELMS have developed a little bit more, and the grids are, you know, 56 cars or something. That was quite an atmosphere. The radical races and the prototype stuff was a little bit more sort of quieter in the terms of the atmosphere and things, but again, I said the performance of the cars made up for that. But being on the TOCA package with Clio Cup, that was the whole thing was just fantastic. You know, there were, even then in Clio Cup, we had, I think, 51 cars registered that year. The touring cars were in fine festival with the S2000 regs. You know, there was the SEAT Championship. There's lots of things going on. It really was a really exciting place to be.
That does sound really fun. And like I say, because obviously all the cars and the championships are so different, do you think you found yourself quite adaptable to moving between them over the years, or do you just kind of learn as you go along?
I've always been, say, a natural driver, so I can hop in pretty much anything and get within the pace quite quickly. Some of the ultimate bits are a little bit harder to get to. You know, you need to be in that particular car for a long time and spend a lot of time in it. But being adaptable, again, you know, you say with the question earlier about the precision driving and things, that's where the racing's really gone over, and sort of the crossover back the other way is swatching in and out of stuff. You've got to be on it straight away. So it's fun doing that and jumping into loads of different cars all the time. So it's just, if you want the ultimate performance, yes, you need to focus on one particular thing, but being able to do lots of different things is good fun, and it is a benefit.
Definitely. You've done bits in film industry, so TV adverts and Top Gear and other similar activities. How did you find your experience in that, and did you enjoy that and want to maybe do a bit more of that, or do you prefer being in the racing seat?
It's a very, very different way. You know, I explained about the different race meetings, and it's similar to that. The whole attitude within a film set or an advert set or any production is quite a different way of doing things. Where when you're racing, you're the star of the show. When you're doing stuff like that, you're generally pretty hidden and you just come in, do your bit and go. It's a very different philosophy of working. They're often, you know, a lot of hurry up and wait, and then you'll be called and you've got to be ready to go at a moment's notice for maybe, you know, 2 or 3 minutes. Sometimes the shoots, you know, they don't start till, you know, 2 in the morning or something. So that's a slightly different way of doing things. I suppose it's someone is when they look at somebody like me and they working in an office and they see my job is how I would see their job. They're two totally separate things. The rush of doing some of the things you do on a film set is pretty exciting and different, and you get to see a different way of working with things, and you know, all these big camera things, and there's because it's not fully what I do, it's quite exciting.
All new.
Whereas the racing is what I know the most and what I spend my time doing. It's a different type of excitement. I'm a bit more sure of exactly what's going to happen, and I feel a bit more in control of that. Whereas with the filming, it's a little bit more, right, we're going to try this. Can you do this a different way? Can you do that? So they're exciting and different in really broad. I can't really put any parallels across apart from, there's generally 5 wheels and a loose nut behind the wheel.
I like that. What's actually, on a bit of a side note, been your most favorite experience on an advert or movie set? Like you said, you do some very exciting things. What's been your favorite?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, that driving the Rolls-Royce through a concrete wall was pretty different. I do a bit of work with Rolls-Royce and events and things, and then doing the filming and the adverts and stuff. And they were like, right, this is the plan of what we're going to do. And I'm like, that's a £700,000 car. And they're like, yeah. And I've got the chief guy from Rolls-Royce there, and it's like, are you okay with this? And he's like, but if that's what they want to do, that's what we're going to do. So it's like we had one chance, because we can't have 10 of those cars lined up if it doesn't quite work out. And we had to work out, because you can't disable like the preemptive safety systems and things. So we had to work out a little bit, right, okay, I'm going to have to get onto the speed, and then I'm going to have to accelerate at this wall to put a deliberate action into the car so it doesn't suddenly try and hit the brakes and slow me down and all of this sort of stuff.
Oh my God.
So that was
wall.
It was, yeah, it was solid. It was actually sort of like a fiber board, but these things weighed about, there must have been 6 or 7 of them. They still weighed the best part of 100 kilos each, because they were big, heavy things. And we sort of were looking at it and we're like, oh Christ, is this going to pop a headlight out? What damage is this going to do to the car? And thankfully it only sort of popped a bit of trim and did a bit of scuff to the headlight and a bit of scuff down the side of the car. But yeah, it was interesting and quite nerve-wracking going down, just one shot holding the wheel, going, right, I need to now accelerate at this solid object that I couldn't even see through. It was just bang straight through this through this wall.
Against like your self-preservation, isn't it?
That's it. And it was yeah, I had to cover my right foot with my left foot to just keep it pinned as I fired through this wall. Anyway, we weren't sure if the airbags were going to go off or anything, so it was just like, right, well, let's see what happens.
It all turned out well in the end, though, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely fine. I think it's on YouTube. It was rules rewritten or something about how Rolls-Royce wasn't all this, stuffy, and you could put a surfboard on the roof and things. And I'm sure there's a link on YouTube on their channel somewhere for it, so people can go and watch it if they want.
I'm definitely going to find it, and I'm going to pop it below as well in the description, just to save other people searching for it, because I'm very intrigued now to see the actual final.
I'll send you the links. I'm sure I've got them written down.
Thank you.
Careful, darling. Phantom.
So moving slightly on, you've been in the game a few years, and do you think motorsport in all the different aspects has changed, and also towards gender as well, and females finally getting more involved in motorsport?
Yeah, and this was a tricky one, because when I saw your list of questions come through, I was like, okay, this is the one that could provoke some interesting reaction. Yes, of course, motorsport has changed along with the world. Everything has moved on, and there is more of this equality. And I think motorsport was a very unique place. I think only really horse racing was the other only sport where men and women could compete on a complete equal without any, no separate classes or anything. And yes, we've seen more of a push towards that in the general world, not just in motorsport, and motorsport has followed. And it's a difficult balance, I think, because it is the only place where you can pop a helmet on, and it doesn't matter what you are, what is going on in front. There's a car in front, I want to come past you. It doesn't matter if you're a guy, a girl, disabled or whatever. Everyone can do it, and there's no barrier to that. You can get straight in and go. So I think having programs like what you're involved with, the Formula Woman, is a good thing, because it's not just increasing the show and getting people interested, but what I think is difficult, and what we don't want to be going into, is taking away that inclusivity by then having a whole separate thing, because we've got something now that's so unique, we don't want to lose that. So if we can nurture and then bring it in, and I'm sure what it's going to do is feed people into the championships in different places, so it's all going to come back together anyway. So I think it's never really been a problem, but it's now more at the forefront of people's mind.
Yeah, it's been kind of pushed under the carpet for years and years and years, hasn't it? And all of a sudden, the past couple of years, feminism and all that sort of stuff has really shine a light on in society.
Yeah, it's a global thing. It's not just a motor racing thing.
So moving forward and looking into the future, what aspirations have you got now?
So I'm very fortunate, I've got a fantastic career, and I've had a fantastic career in terms of racing and things behind. Always want to go in and do more racing, which, is just being in the right place at the right time. So, we've got, I work with a lot of different people, and they're looking at progressing. So I'll go with them, which is great. Personally, for what I want, my big dream is to compete in the 24 hours at Le Mans. That's something since a small child that I've been, just completely gobsmacked with, watching in the late 90s, the Toyota GT1, the Porsche Evo and things like that, seeing these just truly inspiring cars, the shapes and everything, and then going through all the prototypes that we've got now. I've been very lucky. I've driven at the Le Mans Classic a couple of times, and we've got a lot of plans to put in with some friends of mine for charity, and making a bit of a program to race in the Road to Le Mans hopefully next year. So that's, just keep the ball rolling, keep it going, and hopefully next year we'll be in the support race, and then going forward we'll get into the big show. So it's been an aspiration. It really will be a dream come true as well when we get that done.
That sounds amazing. Okay, got to keep being consistent.
That's it. Again, just don't take no for an answer, and just keep head down, working, go.
Definitely. Well, I'm really excited to see that sort of progress and develop over the next couple of years, and be cheering you on when you're there in a couple of years' time.
Thanks very much. We'll make sure it's splattered all over the social, so no one's going to miss it.
Exactly. They can't escape it.
Exactly.
And out of all of your motorsport memories, obviously we've talked a little bit about your advert one. What is actually your favourite memory, the one that just stands out for you over the years?
I think achieving the first big sort of race result, and then looking down from the podium in front of, not just TV and everything and all of that, but then seeing my dad, who had sacrificed so much to get me to that point, and just seeing the elation on his face is something that will stick with me for a long time.
That's amazing. Like I say, it's always the first time, isn't it? It's the most special.
Yeah, you never forget, as in so many things in life, you never forget your first.
And you do quite a bit of coaching now. And as a wannabe racing driver, what are the top 3 skills that you think you look out for as a coach and try and help people develop?
So being open-minded is quite an important thing. And typically when I coach a lady or anything like that, they're more open-minded, because generally there's no ego in the way.
Yeah.
So every guy can drive, and there's I can drive far, and then it's sort of like, well, hang on, you just got to take a step back a little bit and go, right, fine. Whereas with a young lass or anything like that, it's far more sort of open to what I'm saying and where we go. And we often make progress a little bit quicker as a result. So being open-minded and listening to what your coach is saying is really important. Having an understanding of what's going on is important as well. So just being in a position where you understand, if you turn slightly wrong and it's not quite going to do what you expect, which sounds a little bit weird, because a lot of that can be a natural thing, a lot of that can be developed. But if you can realize what's going to happen, that's going to make things much easier.
Yeah.
And then just being relaxed, everything will come to you more if it's relaxed. And again, that's something that's often quite difficult to overcome, because a lot of people are out on track for the first time, and that's nerve-wracking enough, then let alone that they might be in something they've not really driven very much, and the whole thing can spiral quite quickly. So being relaxed will ultimately lead to the other things I've mentioned being easier and progressing faster as well. So sometimes it takes a bit of work to get that, and a couple of deep breaths or whatever, and just sinking into it. But that's really important, because you'll take more in, and everything will progress faster if you just relax a little bit.
Definitely. And I think with anything you do, the more worked up you get about something, like if you get something wrong, you get more worked up about it, you're more likely to do it wrong again and again. Whereas if you're a bit more relaxed and take that breath and take a fresh approach, you're likely to progress a lot more.
Yeah, that's it. And then to work a bit with a sports psychologist and stuff as well. And it's sort of oval arousal can be a really detrimental thing to performance. And being really worked up and not relaxed is a big part of being overly aroused in that sense. So yeah, just knowing a few breathing exercises and just making, releasing that grip from the steering wheel and just letting everything sink back and just chill out will make life so much easier.
Almost like in Disney's Cars, where he's talking to himself in the lorry before he has a race.
That's exactly, float like a Cadillac, sting like a Beamer, bang on.
And on to the very last question now. So for all those out there that want to get into motorsport, whether that be coaching, precision driving or racing, what is your best advice for them?
So we've touched on it a few times as well, is, just don't give up, just keep going. The coaching and precision driving things are very difficult to get into, and that really only comes from being in the sport for a little bit. But to open doors and get into the sport, teams are always looking for people, and they're never going to turn down free help. So if you want to get in, and even if you're just washing wheels for the first couple of months or whatever, you've got a foot in the door. So I get a lot of university graduates or people starting motorsport courses and things ask me, how can I get involved? I want to do more of this. And it's like, well, you just got to literally machine gun fire teams with your phone calls, turn up on their doorstep and things, offer your services for free for a race weekend. They'll feed you, they'll look after you, but just be there, do a good job, listen to what they're doing, learn about how the weekend works or how the day works or whatever. Don't grumble when they ask you to clean your fifth set of tires, or can you get the guys a cup of tea? Just no problem, I'll go do that for you. And eventually they'll start letting you work on the cars, and then there'll be maybe an opportunity to move on around the workshop or whatever, and it will progress from there. And you can talk to the engineers, I want to try this, I want to try that, and they can offer more advice, and it opens more doors from there.
Exactly. You have to, don't you? I mean, even if you look at the top drivers, they didn't walk into an F1 seat, they started right at the bottom, and everyone's got to work their way up somehow.
That's it. There's a good story about Jason Plato just sitting outside the Williams HQ, just waiting for Patrick Head and to get into the touring car, and just literally just accosting him in the car park as he walked across because he couldn't get hold of him. So just think about things like that, and just work hard, and you'll it will pay off. Brilliant.
Well, that's the end of the 20 questions. You survived.
Oh, thank God.
You can breathe now.
In through the nose, out through the mouth.
Exactly. Those breathing exercises, that's what it is.
Yeah, relax.
Well, thank you ever so much for joining me as a guest on today's episode, and I wish you the best of luck with all your future aspirations, the Le Mans, coaching, etc.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to bumping into each other in person one day, and following how you get on with your adventures.
Definitely. Well, that's it for another episode today. You know the drill. Every Monday at 6 p.m. we'll be back here with another guest. So to make my journey your journey, like, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.